What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to be taking a look at some eBay sealed products, singles, and slabs that have sold over the past week, buy it nows and auctions worldwide. Lots of interesting things going on, not just on the sealed side, but also with some slabs. So we're going to get right into it, starting with sealed product. There's always way too much to show in these videos. I am one day going to do a very long video and just show you guys a ton of stuff. I think that'd be fun to do, but we'll try and keep this around 10 minutes. Starting off, Evolving Skies. Lots of booster boxes selling this week, not just in North America, but worldwide. Over $2,000 USD. You can see this one in Canada, $2,750 Canadian. 56 bids coming from a fairly small seller up here in Canada. $2,000 is the norm for a booster box of Evolving Skies at this point, and I really don't know how long that is going to last. I think there still is a lot of room for Evo Skies to run. But next up, we have a 4-pack blister of Double Crisis. This sold for $2,055, 44 bids there. This was coming from a fairly small seller, again, out of the United States. Next up, we have a Plasma Storm Elite Trainer Box, black and white. And fun fact for you guys, because I actually didn't know this until today when I was reading the back of this. You can come look here. It says that these original Elite Trainer boxes only had 7 booster packs inside. They didn't have 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, only 7 packs. So that might be another reason why back then they didn't sell as much. Basically just a booster bundle plus an extra pack. But this sold for $15,000 or best offer. If you throw this into 130 point, you'll see it sold for 8,500 USD. This is more than the previous 2 sales. So we covered one back in June, towards the end of June, $8,000. And before that, the most recent one was June 13th, a couple weeks before that, at $7,000 USD. So this box is continuing to move up month over month. Now, before we go any further, I did want to jump in here and give a shout out to today's video sponsor, the Shiny app. Guys, whether you're investing or collecting, it's important to know what you have at all times, and that's where the Shiny app comes in. It's a mobile app where you can track your collection, whether it's sealed product, singles, or slabs. They cover all the main games like Pokemon, but also Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, One Piece, and a couple others. In Pokemon specifically, they cover English, Japanese, and simplified Chinese. In my opinion, their user experience is much better than the competition, and one thing that I love is that they're trying to update their data more frequently than other platforms, so they're pulling twice daily from TCG Player, eBay, price charting, and card market. And the best part about the Shiny app is that it's free, so I'll leave links to the Google Play and App Store in the description down below. Definitely go check it out, give them some support, and thank you to Shiny for sponsoring the video. Moving on, we have a sealed case of Evolving Skies sleeved booster packs. This sold for $8,700 or best offer. If you put this into 130 point, you'll see it sold for $7,500. I think that comes out to about $52 USD per sleeve booster, which is pretty much in line with market, I believe. This was also coming from a fairly small seller in the US out of Los Angeles. So it's always interesting to see fairly small accounts selling expensive items and having no issue moving stuff. But next up, we'll go over a couple booster boxes here. The first being an XY Flashfire box. This was actually sold up here in Canada from, again, another small seller. A state piece is only 70 feedback, 9,400 Canadian, which is approximately $6,848 USD. 38 bids on auction. It comes with an acrylic case. The box looks like it's in fairly decent shape. It doesn't look like it's in perfect shape. You can see here there's kind of a little bit of a lip on the cardboard cutout on top. So very big sale there. I think it's only a matter of time before we see Flashfire consistently selling over $7,000, especially considering Phantom Forces is continuing to move up, and we'll see that here in a second. Next one though, Team Up. This box sold for $9,000 or best offer. Again, a fairly small seller in the United States, Las Vegas. This one was coming from Pokegram Store, and this came with an acrylic case. I did throw this one into 130 point just to be sure that it sold for 9K, and it did. There wasn't a best offer sent out. So we're now consistently seeing Team Up booster boxes sell over $9,000 or right at $9,000. And this box isn't in perfect shape. You can see here the wrap isn't great. It's definitely not ideal, but it's still a sealed box. The Pokeballs look like they're in decent shape. I still think, though, that this year I would not be surprised if we see Team Up crack $10,000 with a minty box, whether it's an auction or a buy it now on eBay. Now, a couple more sealed products here before we get into some slabs. We have the Poncho. This is the XY Breakpoint Charizard box that sold for $8,300. This was through Probstein in the US. And then we also had the Mega Charizard one sell for $10,399, 78 bids, again through Probstein out of the United States. Now, this is going to be the last box, I'm pretty sure, on the list I brought up. Phantom Forces Elite Trainer box, sealed through Probstein, $12,700 USD, 43 bids. Box looks like it's in fairly good shape. So this box moved from like 11,000. It's kind of just jumped closer to 13 than 12. Kind of ridiculous. We'll have to wait and see what the next couple sales on the box are, but these XY stuff, man, it just continues to move up. Same thing with Sun and Moon era. And that's why I'm still quite bullish on Sword and Shield era, just because when we look at the prices for some of these Sun and Moon and XY boxes, it just makes sense why Sword and Shield will eventually start to climb again. But either way, huge sale there. Now we'll move into some slabs, and I think there's one sealed on the list this week. And most of these are more expensive cards. Some of them are vintage, some of them aren't. We have a couple newer ones here. We'll start off with the Umbreon EX from Prismatic Evolutions. PSA 10 sold for $2,600 still. This sold yesterday, I believe, from PSA directly. Now, next up, we have a Magikarp Wailord GX. This is from Team Up. This is a PSA 10. It sold for $2,850 USD. 49 bids, a decent sized store there. DN Card Hut, 634 feedback. That was coming from the States again. I think everything so far has either been Canada or the US. Next up, we have a Japanese BGS 10 Black Label. This is the Zekrom BWR rarity from Black Bolt in Japanese. It sold for $8,100. 49 bids there. It's a fairly new card, but also just BGS 10. I don't know what the pop would be on this. Probably fairly low. Either way, very, very expensive sale there. Next up, we have a Lugia EX. This is from Unseen Forces. PSA 10 sold for $13,000. I think that's the only Lugia on the list this week. Either way, just a huge sale on some of these vintage cards. Next up, Alakazam Gold Star. Speaking of huge sales, $13,223.33, 42 bids. This is a PSA 10 from Crystal Guardians. And we are going to move through the next few kind of quickly. I want to keep this video a little bit on the shorter side. Rayquaza, this is a BGS 7.5 Gold Star from EX Deoxys, sold for $14,100 through Probstein again. Probstein is just the main seller here in the States that has all of these massive auctions. 14.1K. Next up, we have the Mew EX. This is the simplified Chinese promo, I believe, and this sold for $13,500 or best offer. If you throw this into 130 point, it did indeed sell $13,500 for the CGC10. We also had a PSA 10 copy sell for $17,088, 59 bids there. This is the first sale, I believe, not coming from North America. This is coming from Fujian Xiamen, China, which kind of makes sense. We see a lot of these cards selling from China since it is a simplified Chinese exclusive, but big sales there on this card still. Next up, couple Pikachus on the list. This is the Mario promo, PSA 10. This sold for 6,900 euros. 2 bids there. This is kind of confusing because it says there's 2 bids, but then up here it says that the buy it now listing sold. So I don't really know what's going on here. You guys can let me know in the comments, but you will see a lot of like the Mario Pikachu selling on a week-to-week basis. And I don't want to always bring them up just because they're normally selling in the same range. I don't think we've seen any super crazy sales as of late, but just a reminder that these are expensive cards, but they're very liquid. It's not too hard to put these on eBay and get rid of them. We had a Luigi one sell, $9,900 through PSA. This is a PSA 10. And then there might be one more card before we get to the Charizards, 1 or 2. This is a PSA 10. That's the old PSA label. This is the Gyarados poncho, and this sold for $7,150, 29 bids there. Then a couple Charizards. This is the one single of the week. A Gold Star Charizard Raw sold for $5,705, 25 bids. Brand new account too, 0 feedback, which I think is interesting. And you guys can let me know again if there's anything wrong or funny about these auctions, but really bad photos. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that this went for as much as it did just with the quality of the photos. But either way, very expensive sale there for a raw card. We also had a PSA 9 copy of the same card, I believe, sell for $18,550 directly from PSA, 54 bids. And then one more Charizard on the list, the biggest sale of the week. PSA 10 Holo from Skyridge. This Charizard, $27,250. I did put this into 130 point just to be sure. It was coming from a fairly large seller. and this did sell for $27,250. You can see right down here in 130 point, and it looks like this is a little bit more expensive than the last auction we had, which sold for $26,100. That was back at the end of June. There may be a couple more sales. Sometimes when you put in a title to 130 point, it won't bring up all the auctions or buy it nows that have ended, just because whatever like keyword searches they do, it doesn't always show everything. Either way, very expensive sale there on the Charizard from Skyridge. And then the final card on the list this week, which I thought was just ridiculous. So you guys let me know in the comments if something weird is going on here. The Latias Latios GX from Team Up, BGS 10 Black Label, sold for $50,000 or best offer, fairly small seller out here in the States. And if you throw this card into 130 point, it does say that a best offer was taken of $49,999 USD. I have no clue what's going on here. To me, this just seems a little bit bizarre considering the last BGS 10 we saw sell was $20,000 on May 16th, so a couple months ago. This card's basically up 150%. Maybe this is a legit sale, maybe it's not. If you guys have any more information, definitely feel free to leave a comment down below. Either way, I'd figure I'd throw it in here, and it doesn't seem like this card is going to get any cheaper, especially in the Black Label. But that's going to be it for the video. You guys let me know in the comments down below what was your favorite auction or buy it now this week. Mine probably is going to be a tie between the birds. If this is a legit sale, it probably would be my favorite. But this and then the Phantom Forces booster box, if I can find it here, $12,700 on auction through ProbeScene is just wild. We're continuing to see all-time highs on some of these XY boxes, some of these Sun and Moon tag team cards. It's just ridiculous, the market that we're in. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you're having a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.